Said hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Unfiltered Truth. We are not dead, I promise. I know it's been a minute since we did our last show, but trust me, we got a good one for you guys this evening. Phil Jones, what's going on, my brother from another mother?
I'm doing great, man. Just another Tuesday. God is good. I'm glad to be alive. I'm glad to get a lot of stuff done. And I'm glad to come back and talk about some Raiders because I know you guys been yearning for it. You guys been thirsting for it. So we back and we here to bring it to you guys. So without no further ado, should we go on and introduce our
By all means, please say it. Say it with your chest. Let it be known. This man deserves. Boom, 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 boom.
Let us introduce the guy that people thought was Khalil Mack in the Red Oppressor, the one and only Levi Edwards. How at your boy? Get some money, brother. How you doing? Oh, is he here? Did he jump in? There he is.
There we go. There we go. What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Got the day off today, so I'm not going to complain about that. I've just been chilling, catching up on some rest. You know how it is.
Yeah, that Vegas heat ain't no joke.
It's actually cool. It's cooled down a little bit as of recent because of we're in monsoon season right now, so it's just been raining just heavily, just for the storming for the past couple of weeks, which is crazy. So it's kind of like shot down a little bit to like, mid 90s with a little bit of humidity, which, a lot of people out here, they're going to complain about. But being from the South, it's, 97 with about 50% humidity. That's what I'm accustomed to. So it's no big deal.
Yeah, that Mobile, Alabama heating, it's something fierce. I'm feeling that during February? I was like, 60 degrees, that's not bad. No, 60 degrees feel like 80 degrees.
No, it's the humidity is all the way. The humidity is knocked up all the way to the top, plus the fact that you have to deal with it being like in the 80s and the 90s, and you're right near the beach. It's rough. It's rough out there.
Whew. But man, I mean, look, we just got our second preseason game. I think this one had more meaning than the Hall of Fame game. We saw some good, we saw some hiccups, and then we saw some shockers. I mean, the good right there, I'm looking at interior, D tackle, Andrew Billings. Everybody's like, we need to go in and get Ndamukong Suh, but I'm thinking like, no, I think we got some guys still on this D line, on this depth chart that they can keep. And then you also got to remember, you got Bilal Nichols coming back, supposed to be coming back, and then Jonathan Hankins supposed to be coming back off the PUP list. So seeing the other guys step up, especially like Billings and Pecco, like how do you feel about that?
It's really good to see for sure. I really have enjoyed seeing the defensive line put together some things, and of course, what we've seen, we haven't seen the defensive line at full force. There's a lot of guys that have been missing action. Max is sitting out, so is Chandler and Cleveland, guys like that. And Bilal Nichols, he hasn't come back yet. So to see these guys still be able to get pressure off the line of scrimmage is still a very encouraging thing to see, even for a preseason game. Kyle Pecco is one of those guys that has been a very well-said name. His name has come up a lot within the locker room. A lot of guys really like him. A lot of guys think that he has a lot of potential to find a piece in this rotation. Also, can't forget the two rookies that they drafted, Neil Farrell and Matthew Butler. And while they're still, of course, trying to work out some kinks, they literally just played their second NFL game ever, despite it being preseason. Those are guys that are still trying to make their way, and they have the power and they have the speed to be great. They just got to, work on some technique stuff, really just get down the NFL speed, especially once they're going to start going up against starters. I'm excited to see what this deep not secondary, this deep defensive line can do.
No, absolutely. And one of the guys that I've been keeping a close eye on is Bowers. Give me your thoughts on him, because he's been popping up left and right, and
I
he's
saw
going
some
to get to
teeth.
the quarterback.
I saw some teeth.
Bowers is
This
a
is going
tricky
to be
situation.
good.
Bowers is a tricky situation. Not in the sense that he's not good. He's just, like I said, the defensive line is just so deep, and you have a lot of guys that might not be stars. A lot of these guys, when the Raiders signed them, is people that you probably never even heard of or really have very limited knowledge of before they came. But the thing that all of these guys have in common is they all fit this defense, and they all fit Patrick Graham's ideology of what they want. And Bauer is a guy that I like because he's very athletic. He has good length, and he can play inside and outside. And on top of that, he has 2 years already in this system with Patrick Graham in New England, and he has the familiarity with McDaniels and Ziegler. So he's a guy that they know. So for him to come in and get the sack, it was a big deal. And even though he might not be very well known to Raider Nation yet, he's a guy that I think has big potential, solid upside. Definitely could find his way on this 53. Who knows, though? There's still a lot of time. There's still 2 more games left, but I think these last 2 games are going to give a very good viewpoint of what he can do. What I really like about him is the fact, like I said, he can play inside and out, and that's something that this defense is going to prioritize a lot of.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then you also got to, you got to remember with how New England has always done it. Hey, you don't know that guy, but damn,
Exactly.
That's how some of them get their starts. We could say prime examples of Stephon Gilmore, J.C. Jackson. Nobody, I knew him from going back from Maryland, but nobody really knew of this guy. And then you look at like guys like Ellis Hobbs. You can go down the list of guys over the years on that defense. Who is Tuli Batatan? Who is that guy? And he's showing off.
Yeah, I think of course, guys have to have the talent. If you're in the NFL, you obviously have to have the talent. You can't be bad and be in the NFL. You're still. It doesn't matter if you're, the number one guy on the team or the last guy on special teams. You are the best of the best in the world if you're in the NFL. And so I believe that this is a coaching staff, and these are guys that, don't really look at talent as the number one source for what they want in a player. They're going to look at a player and see, A, how smart are you? And B, can you adapt to our system? And then they look at the talent and the ability. And of course, hard work and effort, trump those as well. So I feel like when they're looking at players, they look at how smart are you? How hard do you work? And can you adapt to the system? And can you play in it? And those are things that all of the guys that we've just talked about already, Tashawn Bauer, Kyle Pecco, who's the other, Billings, those are guys that have done that so far.
Excellent. So as my counterpart has been taking us through a trip through the depth of the team, I would like to inquire about the guys we don't get to see, the guys that you actually get to see. I have no idea what this starting secondary is going to look like. That's not true. I have an idea of what it would look like, but we haven't gotten a chance to see it. So how are some of those matchups going? I see the sexy play tracker that you tweet out from time to time. I actually wrote an article on the Teach Tape about the whole Ocho Cinco thing with Devontae Adams and Nate Hobbs, and a name that we've heard here and there has been Trayvon Moehrig, and then he kind of just goes away. So I know Rock Ya-Sin's on the team, and everybody and those who don't know about Anthony Averett speak as though they don't know about Anthony Averett and the depths of his abilities. So what can you share with us with guys who look like they'll be higher on the Raiders depth chart of DBs?
I would honestly go and say that the Raiders secondary so far throughout training camp is the biggest pleasant surprise of the entire team for me so far. Because we went through free agency and it was like, okay, well, you don't get J.C. Jackson, you don't get Stephon Gilmore, so you're just kind of like, okay, well, let's see what happens. You make the trade for Rocky Sin, you get Avery, and you think, okay, those are good, solid pieces. I don't know if they're going to be starters or rotational guys. You don't really know. Then the draft comes, and I thought there was a lot of really good corners that the Raiders could take in the draft, and they didn't take anybody. And I was still kind of like, okay, well, they're not drafting anybody. They haven't really signed anybody. I guess they're just kind of going to roll with who they got. And just coming in through training camp, not knowing what this secondary would look like, they have looked pretty good. I don't want to say like it's the biggest surprise in the world because they're still great players, but I did not expect such huge growth from Nate Hobbs. I didn't expect such huge growth from Trayvon Merritt going into training camp. These are two guys that have looked like absolute studs. Then on top of that, you have Rocky Sin coming in making plays. You have Avery coming in making plays, playing good coverage. And even the rotational guys that are fringe guys trying to make the roster, like Chris Jones and Darius Phillips, these are guys that are looking pretty good and making plays. And then on top of that, you're not even accounting for the fact that you still have Trayvon Mullen, who led the team in pass deflections for 2 seasons. He's still nursing back an injury, and he could potentially come back, either at the beginning of the season or midway through. We don't even know. So you have to account for the fact that even though these are guys that are not household names, they're not sexy picks, they're not guys that are Pro Bowlers or All Pros yet, they're still a very solid, formidable secondary. And the way that Josh Graham uses people in the secondary and he just plays offense by offense, he doesn't have a set scheme. He's going to adjust and he's going to play each offense the way that he's getting played. And so with that being said, you can see Nate Hobbs go from outside corner to nickel corner to safety all in one game. You don't know. And that's intriguing to me. So a lot of these guys in the secondary, I would say, are looking pretty good. And I'm not trying to hype them up or gas them up, but I know a lot of people, you can't hide from the headlines. You can't hide from the articles. A lot of people were questioning this secondary because there was no legit guy that you look to and it's like, okay, well, he's locked down. But this is a really good secondary that just plays well together and they know their role. And that includes Jonathan Abram.
You're absolutely right.
So rumor has it, as you brought up Jonathan Abram, that he's looking there. He's going to be deployed in more unconventional means. Obviously, I'm not going to ask you to put strategy out there on tape for everybody who could watch this, but we happen to see a little bit of it in the game against the Vikings. Has there been more of that in practice? Have you seen some explosion there and some potential opportunities?
Honestly, Jonathan Abram is an interesting guy when it comes to how he's been used. And you're just kind of saying unconventional in terms of how he's been used. And since I've been covering the Raiders, I believe that he's already been used pretty unconventionally. Even back when we had Gunther as our defensive coordinator, he started getting to the point where he started bringing in Abram on pass rush. He kind of put him in a lot of disguise sets. So I think that's very familiar for Abram just because he has a very unique skill set as a safety in terms of a guy that's a very good open field tackler, a guy that's a very hard-hitting tackler who can, instinctively pick up on the run and pick up on blitz. So he's a very good chess piece that you can have in the secondary. Obviously, if he continues to improve with coverage, that will make him that much more of a lethal weapon to have in your secondary. Of course, if he continues to stay healthy, that'll even make him even better on top of that. Honestly, I don't think it's going to be anything brand new that we're going to see out of Abram. I've seen Abram already used a lot in a lot of different ways since I've been here. And I think that's just going to be a trend that continues. And we saw it in Minnesota on Sunday, how he was used and the kind of places they were putting him in. But honestly, I don't think it was very much different than a lot of stuff that I've already seen the past 2 seasons with Abram. So I think Patrick Graham and I think Chris Ash, the secondary coach, I think they're going to really try to coach up Abram and really use him to the maximum of his potential and really use him to the maximum of his talent. And I'm excited to see what he can do. I do not think that this coaching staff has lost faith in him at all. If anything, I think he's just continuing to prove himself and just trying to find his way to continue to keep that spot, that starting safety spot. Now, on top of that, they brought in Duron Harmon, who is a very good leader of the locker room, very good veteran guy, has been there, done that in the league, Super Bowl champion, very familiar with the defense. So, of course, he's also doing his best to bring Abram along as well. So you have all of those components, and I think it'll be interesting.
I do too, to be honest with you. I'm quite curious to see. I've had, again, like I said, I've had my own idea of how this was all going to shape out. And Jonathan Abram is a lightning rod for criticism. And so a lot early in his career, a lot of it was justified. And more recently, it's not. And so as I mentioned, the unconventional ways of being deployed, how are his more conventional skills developing?
I mean,
in terms of being a deep safety?
I think him and Merrick have a good foundation. I think they're good friends and they are learning to communicate a lot more. I think that's the biggest, I guess, development you would say. And they've said in press conferences, and you can see it on the field, is they're becoming better communicators where they're starting to talk to each other. They're starting to figure out, okay, well, if I'm over here, you need to go over here and do this, or on certain plays, or when there's adjustments that are made by the offense, they're able to communicate with each other and be like, okay, well, we got to make sure that we're getting this on the same track. So the fact, that free safety, strong safety rapport is extremely important. And we've seen on a lot of great championship defenses having that good relationship, as well as having that good relationship with the front seven as well, because it all works together at the end. So I think Jonathan Abram has developed into a better on-the-field communicator from what it seems like to me, just going from last year's training camp to this season's.
Okay.
I guess in the conventional sense. But what out of curiosity, what are some things that you guys are hearing about the secondary, just kind of like from that on the outside looking in?
So to the untrained eye, these guys all stink and they're terrible. We need a whole brand 4 to 6, 7 new guys. So to those of us who do their homework on guys and look into things, so we immediately, the first thing that I noticed was their grades in man coverage and the adjustment in what they do, what we've typically seen around here to the supposed strengths of players. Again, like I said, I'm not going to talk too much strategy because we don't know who might be watching, but the way it's all been reconstructed, I've been able to see kind of where they've gone with it. I saw a lot more of it against the Vikings and having been able to look around the league. And I don't know how much looking around the league you do, but I watched the Chiefs early. I tried to watch Denver and the Chargers and realized that they weren't going to play anybody, so it wasn't really any point in watching it. Aside from Sky Moore for the Chiefs, he's everything I thought he was going to be.
I mean, yeah. I would agree. I like Sky Moore coming out of Western Michigan, and of course the Chiefs losing Tyreek is going to be a big blow. And I know a lot of people in the media and a lot of people in Kansas City are trying to act like, oh, it's not going to be a big deal. They're going to be able to.
It is.
It is. I promise you, it's going to be a really big deal.
Of what I saw on those 11 plays with Patrick Mahomes in the first series, and I know that's a very small sample size, but from what I saw, they are missing Tyreek Hill even more than I thought they would.
Look, you can't force Sky Moore to be Tyreek Hill 2.0. That's not going to be it. Even from going back and looking at Sky Moore back at the Senior Bowl on the side, like just right up in front, and I'm like, I mean, he's got it, but it's like
it's not. He won't be there for a couple years.
He got that oomph, okay. Tyreek Hill, that little field rat, he was rabid. he was like a Patrick Beverly, you know. But
Yeah,
Guy Moore
But
doesn't
please
have
don't bring up Patrick Theodore Beverly, bro. Of all the people you could have brought up, you brought up Beverly.
Every time I
Bruh.
look at Tyreek Hill, I just think of God.
you know what's crazy is I remember when we played the Chiefs last year on Arrowhead, and I remember being on the sidelines, and Tyreek Hill pregame walked past me, and I've never seen someone like that had veins like popping out of his legs, like literally, like you know how you see bodybuilders and they flex like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they
Yeah.
got the veins popping out of the arms, and they like that. This man had looked like that, like in his legs with like veins everywhere, and I was like, oh my god, like how much does this guy have to run to get that? And it just like showed me like in person, like okay, well this is why he is the way that he is. It's just because he's a lot more built. And that's another thing I will say about our secondary. I guess since we were just talking about our secondary, like Nate Hobbs and Rocky Sin, those are two very jacked dudes. Like for corners, they look like they get it in the weight room. And
Yeah, they do.
I think they are going to be two very aggressive outside corners for sure. And I don't think they, whatever you can say about their coverage skills, they two guys, they ain't going to miss a tackle. They ain't gonna do it. They might get beat on a play, but those two dudes, they ain't gonna miss a tackle. So I like that from them.
Yeah, looking at the pipes on Rocky Sin, I said if he gets a hand on you, he didn't stop the route.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That boy got some pipes on him. I'm jealous. I'm not even gonna lie. But but
I was still on the part where he said, "Man, this man walking by like, damn, why the hell you that small and you got them damn veins popping out your leg?" So what? He's little black Broly.
Yeah, no, because he's about 5'10", so he's not like
So he's the midget version of Broly. Gotcha.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna say all that, but he about 5'10", legs just ripped, and you see what you see on TV, but for me to see it like in person, it's just like, okay, well you look like you've been running for days and weeks and months,
like just never stopped ever, not once.
You look like Tyreek Hill when I saw him looked like Forrest Gump from that scene when he just left the house and he was like, you know what, I'm gonna run for 2 years. That's how he looked.
Oh man.
He said run for 2 years. Just I feel it. I feel it.
But he's just such a threat. And of course, Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes. They still got Andy Reid. They still got Bieniemy. They still got a very well-trained offense. But when it comes to them competing in the AFC West, they're going to have a very – I think they'll still compete. It's going to be a very competitive division no matter what you think.
Right.
But I think,
go ahead, please. I'm sorry.
I do think that them missing Tyreek Hill, and even with them getting Juju, them getting Sky Moore, them getting the receiver from the Packers, I'm blanking on his name right now. I think
Valdez Scantling.
Valdez Scantling, very good receivers, and they still got Harmon, Marco Harmon. He's a guy that is just very fast guy as well. So this is an offense that definitely will still be very productive, but you cannot tell me that they're not missing Tyreek Hill right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not because all of a sudden Tua can throw deep now. Have you seen it? He got a deep arm.
I did see it for about 3 years at Alabama, so I know.
Right.
So he just go as long as he stays healthy and the Dolphins offensive line just keeps him in that pocket, he's gonna do him. He's gonna,
So let me get to the good part right now, because this has been on my mind. I stayed up late last night looking over a little bit of film, and the right tackle position, sir. That Sarah Mumford guy.
Oh, you thought you was gonna get away?
You thought you
didn't put that on the
off. Hold on.
Let me
I might be able to bribe him.
You gotta ask about the offensive line.
Hold on. I might be able to bribe him some more. When I get out to Vegas, I'm gonna take you to the underground taco spot.
In Vegas?
Yeah, you didn't know about that?
You said underground taco spot?
Yeah.
No, like legitimately underground.
Yeah.
No, I haven't heard about it.
Sir, old Tony picking me up from the airport Thursday. I shall show you.
Okay, bet.
But that
Now,
right
you better
now,
deliver. You don't play with a man with his tacos. Look, he done
Oh, you
sat
know
up.
what?
He done got closer to the screen.
Look at me. Look at me. I don't play.
Have y'all tried a place called Tacos El Gordo?
No. We what's the name of this
Or
spot?
he didn't go. I did.
I
went.
We'll get. I give it to you when we get off the show. But let's get to this old line because everybody's been screaming about it. They screaming more about this than women screaming about Elvis back in the day.
Wow.
Look. Thayer Munford, everybody's like, oh my God, he's blocking. Like nobody's ever seen a man blocking his whole entire life. But I promise you, I looked at him and I was like, he can play right tackle.
Well, this is the thing about Thayer Munford, and I'll start by saying this. Thayer Munford should have never went in the 7th round to begin with. This was a guy that was projected to go in the 3rd or 4th round. I don't know why he slid to the 7th. He looked really good in college. He played with some really good players. He had a couple of unfortunate games against some really good players that have been drafted very high in the last couple of drafts, I must say. So that's the only thing I'll say. But me personally, when we took Thayer Munford in the 7th, I didn't even know he was still on the board. I was like, I thought that he had got snatched 2-3 rounds before we had even got him. So I was very confused by that to begin with. So even though he's a guy that people are like, oh, Thayer Munford, 7th round pick out of Ohio State, he is a lot better than where he went. And when it comes down to it, it really doesn't matter where you get drafted. As long as you get drafted and as long as you wind up on the team, it's on you from there on out to show why you deserve to belong in the NFL, whether you were first pick overall or whether you were an undrafted guy. And I think that's what Thayer Munford has done. He's proven that he deserves to be on this roster. He deserves that he needs a shot. And he has an uphill battle, and I'm not gonna lie to anybody about it. He has an uphill battle because he still has to compete with Leatherwood. He still has to compete with Brandon Parker once he gets back from the injury that McDaniels kind of talked about a little bit earlier this week. So it's not – he had a very good game, a very good preseason game, I must say, but he still has an uphill battle. He still has a lot to learn as a rookie. But I will go on record and say that I'm not surprised that he played as well as he did, and he honestly should have gotten picked way before he did. And the Raiders got a hell of a steal getting Thayer Munford Jr. in the 7th round.
I totally agree with you. I knew what he did at Ohio State, and like you said, you pull up, so you go to YouTube, you type his name in, and the first thing you see are the 2 reps where he got embarrassed. And as bad as those reps are, everybody forgets that it's still only just 1 play.
That's just so weird about society, about social media. Like, imagine your draft stock. Imagine your draft stock plummeting because of social media, because 3 plays go viral, and then you go from being a 3rd round dude to going in the 7th.
Or you could be Jadeveon Clowney, who made millions and millions of dollars off his sophomore year in college,
and can barely get 10 sacks. No, he can't even get 10.
He can't get 10 sacks.
And I'm not talking trash. I'm never going to do that. But even Trayvon Walker, who I will say looked like an absolute stud when he played us in the Hall of Fame game. But I will say Trayvon Walker, as a guy that loves the SEC, keeps up with the SEC, on that Georgia defense, Trayvon Walker, before the NFL Combine, coming off of that national championship, was about the 3rd or 4th dude on that defense that you talked about.
Yep.
It was Nakobe Dean. Yep. It was Jordan Davis. It was that other tackle next to Jordan Davis.
Walker.
Walker.
Quay Walker got a whole bunch of love.
Devontae Wyatt.
Devontae Wyatt.
Yeah.
So those are
Yeah.
4 dudes that you were like, okay, this is a bad mofo before you got to Trayvon Walker. And then he had the combine that he had, and then out of nowhere, everybody was like, oh, okay, well, he can run a 4.5 and he can jump this high and he looks really good. You know what? Maybe just out of nowhere, even though he was the 5th most talked about guy in this defense, maybe he should be a number 1 pick in the draft. And I'm just a guy that I'm always going to trust film over any sort of combine or any sort of pro day. I feel like a combine and a pro day should only supplement what you see on film. And another thing is Georgia's defense was just so raw. I mean, it's hard to get love on that defense because everybody was just so good. So I understand that as well. But all I'm saying is that we live in an age now where you have social media and stuff that you see on the internet that is almost like holding just as much weight as a scouting report. And you have these people like me, you have these talking heads.
And then the volume died out.
Oh, hold up. I got him.
Oh, you muted him?
Nah.
I was just saying it's interesting the time that we live in.
I think he accidentally muted. I think you accidentally muted yourself.
Or did mine?
Yeah, them AirPods. Yeah, they'll do that.
Can't.
Yeah, they'll jam up on you. It's all in all, I've been relatively pleased with the interior 3 on the offensive line, and I know that Cole Miller's going to be rock solid. I don't know that, but I just feel it deep in my heart that he's going to be rock solid. But what I will ask is that having gotten a chance to see the progression and see how they started this time last season versus where they are now. What are some of the things that you can talk about in terms of their development and improvement?
Can you repeat the position group? Because for some reason my AirPods went out, so I just had to take them out real quick.
The perceived starting line, let's say, with the three interior guys, Simpson, James, and Cotton, being making the progress that they've made, and a lot of people were worried about what you were going to get with them, but off what I've seen in the preseason, they look pretty solid, dare I say phenomenal.
I think there are 3 guys that have chemistry together because they've been with each other for, I think, going on 3-4 years now. I mean, Andre got there in 19, Simpson got there in 2020, and then I think Cotton got there in 18. So this is about to be their 3rd season together, or roughly their 3rd season collectively. So they have chemistry together. They enjoy being with each other, and they learned a lot from Richie when he was with the team. So I feel like a lot of them got that dog in from Richie. Now that he's retired, they've kind of like are trying to develop themselves as like a collective leader, of the offensive line. I think Lester Cotton has always been pretty good, and for whatever reasons with his health and maturity, I believe that might have halted him from getting this. And I think he's just come in this season with a fresh mindset, fresh perspective, really dedicate himself to the weight room, and he's become the guy that he was at Alabama, and he's become the guy that I've personally seen him. I've seen the same stuff that he's doing now is a lot of the stuff that I saw him do last year in training camp. I thought he looked really good then, and for some reason, he still was on the practice squad, got relegated up a couple of games, had a little bit of playing time. But what Lester Cotton is doing right now is not as big of a surprise to me as it been a lot of people. I just think that McDaniels and Priscilla have come in and they've done their thing and have their own evaluation.
Yeah.
And John Simpson is a national champion. And to answer their question, do you feel Carmen Basillo has a positive impact on the offensive line? Absolutely. He has had a great influence on the offensive line. Good guy, very approachable, has a very knowledgeable, knows the system, is very, tight with McDaniels. And I think that that offensive line has really rallied behind Basillo. I think they really do like him, and I think they enjoy him being their coach. And I'm excited to see how he continues to coach him up. And that was the thing about the offensive line. There's another position that everybody thought, okay, we're going to draft so-and-so, and we're going to trade for so-and-so, and we're going to sign for so-and-so, and we're going to completely just tear up this offensive line from scratch. And McDaniels and Priscilla are two guys that are like, you know what? Low key, we like the guys that we already have here in this room. We're just going to do our best to coach them up to be way better than what you thought they could have been or what you saw last year, which is something that I've enjoyed seeing a lot.
So in other
So I
words,
got a pop quiz for you.
Hold on,
so I know. Go ahead, Phil Jones. Hurry up.
So in other words, it was like, hold my beer. We can do a better job than what you've been seeing the past few years.
I'm not gonna
like that.
I'm not gonna go out and say it like that because you know I can't say it like that.
I know you can't, but
I'm going to say
give me a signal.
I'm going to give you the politically correct answer. I believe that Josh McDaniels and Carmen Priscilla have a lot of confidence in their ability to coach their guys up to be the best and be better than what you saw them play at last year.
Nah, I definitely believe that. Yeah, they will. And a lot of people keep forgetting, when you're coaching, you gotta have good teaching, because you're still learning as you're going on as a player, especially a lot of younger players. So Russillo, like when I saw some of the stuff that he was doing in New England, I enjoyed it, because I looked at what he did with getting Trent Brown to bounce back, and damn, what's his name? Andrews? Moving from guard and center. I was just like, and I think that's what they're trying to do with Parham, but I know Parham ain't ready yet for center. Like, that was my spot. Center, I take that like, look, it ain't just snapping the ball. You got to be able to read what's out in front of you. You got to make sure you guys beside you are lined up correctly. So I know it's gonna be some time with them, and I want nothing but the best for him. But I wouldn't mind seeing him, because I know he has experience playing a little bit of tackle and tight end. So just on some goal line play, just line him up there and just Derek Carr just hit a little bootleg and say, "Hey, lineman, ha."
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm just saying.
Derek Carr is not running no bootlegs this season. So that's what you're not going to see. He's not going to be running nowhere. There are plenty of people who can run the football. There are plenty of people he can throw the ball to. I don't want to see this is going to be so ungodly unique for the unfiltered truth. I'm gonna get this will be the one goddamn year out of the last 10 where I said I don't want to see Derek Carr run the football. I don't want to see it. It should never happen at all.
Hold on. Let him bootleg and throw the football to Parham. Come on, let the big man get a touchdown.
Never.
I have no problem seeing DC run. I just need to see him run when the pocket claps, when he needs to get out.
Thank you.
But I'm gonna be with this Phil on this one. I don't want to see no bootlegs, bro. Like, no design runs for Derek Carr. Let he'll run when he needs to run, but we ain't gonna have no Lamar Jackson.
Okay. I put it like this.
Alan Murray plays in this playbook.
A play action pass to Parham. I want to see the big man score a touchdown this year. Can we at least get the big man to score a touchdown? I haven't seen that.
We can do that. Yeah, I'm good with that.
When I pass Mick Lombardi, I'll holler at him for you.
Hey, I'm gonna start. Look, y'all want me to go out here and protest? I gotta protest. We need a big man touchdown.
But and that's a whole nother thing that we even have to go beyond, is the catching part of that play. Yeah. We don't know if Dylan can catch like that yet.
I believe he.
Oh, he got bricks for hands.
No.
I'm just saying, like, do we really know? When's the last time you've seen an offensive lineman catch anything? Like, you don't
Throw
know if
his phone.
somebody has brick for hands or if they, was a wide receiver and they
He gonna cradle it with his
Throw his
belly.
phone. Watch. I bet you'll see the best hands you've ever seen in your life. This man will dive, come out of nowhere with his hands will just swallow up the whole phone. He will do everything to make sure that screen does not break. If only you could get receivers to catch the ball like they was catching their phone falling off the table.
Like
Hey,
CD, so CD snatching his girls, snatching
You know
his
what I'm
phone from his girl at the draft.
You know what I'm saying?
Remember what you talking about?
Look, best
That
catch
wasn't
of his
that was a
life.
handoff.
You know what I'm saying? Nope.
Hey, look, give me one of the linemen. I take any one of them. Shit, I take Colton. Let Colton catch the damn ball. I bet he can pull it.
Well, Colton's 6'8". Colton about 6'7".
He
6'8".
better not drop the damn ball. He just gotta lob it up.
Man, well,
You know,
watch.
Colton
Cole will
only
hit
got
you with
jump.
the
All he gotta
coldest
do is
spin
just
move
try
you
to-
ever seen in your life.
He gonna have brick hands like he making brick shots like Shaq.
I don't know. I've not seen any of these off. The only time I've seen an offensive lineman catch a ball is when they throw the ball back to Andre James to have him snap the ball again to Derek Carr. That's the only time I've seen an offensive lineman catch anything in training camp.
Wow.
But he catches it. He catches the ball when they throw it to him for snaps. That's all I can say.
I got you. So now we've moved steadily nice through this, and now we are getting to the meat and the potatoes of this whole thing. Now, I'm actually switch it up and do it a little differently because I was gonna do the top dog last, but we're gonna bring up this one. What have you seen in practice from Chase Garbers? I covered him while he was at Cal. Saw nearly every snap that he took in Berkeley minus the COVID season.
That's actually a very good question. That is the last question I would have thought you would have asked today in this episode. But to answer your question, he's looked pretty solid. He's a guy that has definitely increased in his level of play. He definitely doesn't look like he doesn't belong, if that makes sense. He doesn't look like it's too big for him.
Right.
He looks on par with the rest of the quarterbacks. He does the same drills. He completes the same plays, and I've been more impressed with how Chase has played in the preseason games when he goes in garbage time in these fourth quarters. I've been more surprised and more pleased with what I've seen from him in game action than I have during training camp, just because, of course, during training camp, you're completing the same balls to the same guys, and it's very, he has a very accurate arm. But I've really liked what I've seen from him in game time, and I think that he did a great job of managing the win against the Vikings, because the Vikings tried to come back a little bit, and you had to get to a certain situation where you had to make a couple of throws, run out the clock with Brenton Brown. So I feel like the way that he managed that situation to hold on to that win and not give the Vikings the ball back to end the game speaks in itself. So I like what Chase Garbers has done, and I think that for an undrafted guy who, for whatever reason that may be, is relatively unknown, I think he's come in and he's fit the bill as a quarterback for this team.
Didn't have a lot of talent to throw to it, Cal. Love them all to death, all good kids, but no speed, hardly any at all. But he got that great win against Ole Miss shortly before getting injured.
Right. Yeah, he's looked good.
But
he's looked good for sure. Definitely a competitive quarterback room. And I've been preaching about, everybody's like, okay, well, Derek Carr, he's the starter. Nobody cares about the backups. But it's been a very competitive quarterback room. And Josh McDaniels has said this in press conferences several times, and I love this quote. He always says, nobody cares about the backup quarterback until he's the most important player in your franchise. And it's true. You've seen it.
I care. I care about him now because, in the past, I'll be honest. I have clamored for the backup, as many people have said, but I've turned over a new leaf, and with this offense, with this skill level, and with the other quarterbacks currently on the roster, I hope that we never see any of them take a snap, or we see them taking snaps because the game is completely out of hand. which would be a very welcome change.
The goal is that Derek Carr plays 17 games plus whatever the Raiders hopefully play in the playoffs. That's the ultimate goal. That's what you love to see. That's your plan A. That's what you prepare for.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, I've just seen too many situations in this league where teams do not prioritize their backup quarterback enough, and then they get into a situation where they have a guy that they don't really like or a guy that doesn't know the playbook as well as they should, and then they have to scramble and go find some other quarterback out of nowhere in free agency, or go make some, trade an asset that they need to go get some quarterback just to have to end their season out, when they could have just handled the situation in training camp, could have handled the situation in the offseason where they already had a backup that they were very confident in. And they wouldn't have to worry about this with 4 games left in the season to save their chances to go to the playoffs. And them coming in and getting Stidham, trading for him, a guy that they're familiar with, a guy that they feel like can be a good backup quarterback, is important. Nick Mullins, great quarterback who has NFL starts, NFL wins. That's important. So despite whatever the plan is for Derek Carr, which is for him to play all 17 games, start 17 games, ball out, have an amazing season, that's the plan. But as we all know in the NFL, things don't always go to plan. And that's why I'm paying a lot of attention to Garbers, paying a lot of attention to Stidham, and I'm paying a lot of attention to Mullins.
Whose footwork is cleaner, or the cleanest?
Out of the quarterbacks, Derek.
Well, out of the backups, obviously, I would expect a starter to have the cleanest footwork and everything. Otherwise, we would have a problem. But
they all have pretty good. They all have pretty clean footwork in terms of mechanics. I think they all just have their different areas of expertise or their own pros. I would say when you have Stidham is a guy that knows the playbook, and he puts the ball where it needs to be most of the time. Mullins, I believe, has a great arm, and he can make a lot of throws. And another thing that we've seen from Stidham, he's a dual threat quarterback now. Apparently, he can run and gun. Apparently,
right.
2 rushing touchdowns and 2
there you go
in the preseason. So, I guess you got to throw in dual threat quarterback when you talk about Jarrett Stidham now, because he's starting to look like that.
Nothing wrong.
Garbers is the same kind of way as Stidham, where he's a guy that is accurate with the ball and can put the ball where it needs to be in the play and knows the playbook well. So they all definitely have their differences and what they add to the table.
Cool beans. And speaking of the passing game, what's it look like? What does it? You get the sexy plays. You get to see the guys. So far, the only time I get to see Devontae Adams, I got to drool over him watching him on the pregame where they're asking him questions. They'll say, "Man, we got Devontae Adams on the sideline, dressed in silver and black. And why can I get a play? Please throw him the ball. I want to see it so badly."
I think this is the really cool thing about Devontae Adams, honestly, is you've had so many guys talk about the work ethic of Devontae Adams, and just from a firsthand perspective of seeing him every day, he's a guy that is an all-pro, Pro Bowler, generally considered the best receiver in the league. And when I come see him in practice, he's a guy that plays like he is a undrafted rookie free agent receiver trying to make the team. And it's the same thing with Max Crosby. They both play with the same energy of, even though I don't have anything to prove, even though I'm a star on this team, even though my spot is secure, I don't have to worry about making this team. Like, y'all know who I am. Y'all know what I do. I'm top 100 in the league. They don't practice like that. They practice like they're guys trying to fight for a roster spot. They practice like DJ Turner, guys that, are fringe guys trying to make this roster. And that's what I've really loved seeing from Devontae Adams. When your star player plays with the maximum amount of effort and he plays like a guy who's trying to make the team and he's no better than anyone else on this roster, that's going to motivate a lot of your other guys to follow in suit, which it has. So that's what I've seen from Devontae Adams. That's impressed me the most so far.
Now, what about the pound for pound king?
Pound for pound king?
The pound for pound king. Best player on the team, Hunter Renfrow. Can't tell me otherwise.
He's doing his thing. He's looking just as good. Just the routes that he runs is still superb. I think a lot of it's historically known what McDaniels likes to do with his slot receivers. He's had success with Amendola. He's had success with Edelman. Has success with Welker, and even last year in New England, I think he did some really good things with Jacoby Myers as well.
Yeah.
Renfrow is just as good as those guys, if you ask me. So
probably even better.
That answers, or even better. Exactly. So, that pretty much sums it up.
So I'm gonna ask you this, because I've had a couple folks messaging me during this whole time. They're like, "What about T. Billy? T. Billy?"
Why are you laughing, bro?
Yo, they
made the first wave. I'm all about T. Billy.
Hey,
catch the football.
Like, hey, why are you not talking about T. Billy?
Yeah.
And what you want me to ask him? I'm gonna ask him. Okay, how's T. Billy doing that camp?
Really fast.
Is he like fast? Like we talking like a superhero, like speedster? Or we talking about like the fast where you blink and you miss?
Blink and you miss. I'm fast enough to regularly create separation from a cornerback on a very regular basis. He's a guy that if you're going to be a great offense, you need to have a deep threat. You need to have a guy that's going to guarantee to beat the corner off the line of scrimmage and go deep, and you have to account for him on every play. Whether he's going to get the ball or not, whether, whatever route he's going to run, you have to be worried about, okay, well, this guy might go past me. And T. Billy, from what I've seen, is good enough to where a cornerback, no matter how good you are, you have to be worried about him going past you in coverage. And that, I guess, answers the question, I would say. He's definitely the deep threat of the team. And of course, there's a lot of deep threats on the team. Like Devontae Adams, this could be a deep threat. Darren Waller could be a deep threat. DJ Turner, he's really fast too. So you have a lot of deep threats, but I would say out of the deep threats that you do have where, every snap, you're probably going to get beat by him deep. That's Tyron Johnson. That's T. Billy. Very nice dude as well.
So, could you ask for a one-on-one race between T. Billy?
I was just getting ready to say that.
I want to see Turner and Johnson race,
and Keelan Cole, because according to the gun, Keelan Cole and T. Billy both ran 4.31s. And now I was just curious, as my co-host brought up, I was trying to save it myself. But do we settle these old disputes about who's fastest the old-fashioned way as pros, or do we just leave that to the tape?
I think we just leave it to the tape. Or at least that's what it looks like they do. If they do race, it's enclosed walkthrough practices that I don't get to see. So They might know the answer deep down, but we don't. But just leave it to the tape. But I'm glad you brought up Keelan Cole, though, because Keelan Cole, to me, has been one of the most underrated guys throughout the entire team.
Thank you. Now, I went back to the
IMO.
I'm gonna say this.
No, hold on. Let him talk. We want to hear from the guest.
I know,
please, Mr. Edwards.
I'm good.
It's something I caught, and this what got me with Jarrett Stidham. If he waited just 1 second, Cole had already blew past that defender. He was wide open.
Keelan Cole's really good. And he was honestly really good in Jacksonville. Like, because he was in Jacksonville, correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
Jacksonville, and then he was also
with the Jets. He came to the Jets.
Yeah, Keelan Cole's pretty good. I think he's one of those guys that they don't get a lot of love because they put up good numbers on bad teams. But I really honestly believe that he has been one of the more underrated pieces on this offense for sure.
Absolutely.
And I don't know how things are going to shake up with this 53-man, but I will say this: I'm really excited to see how he plays these last two games because he looked good against the Vikings and he made a pretty good catch in the Hall of Fame game that wasn't even supposed to be going towards him, wasn't even intended for him, and he bailed him out of that play.
Yes, he did, didn't he?
Yeah. So just very great route runner. He's a little bulkier than you would think. He's got a nice size to him. He's just a really all-around good receiver. Like he's a really good route runner. He can create separation. He's got good hands, good body control. He's just when you have Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow and Aaron Waller on the same team, like there's not really too much more space for love on the team. You feel me? That's really all the love you got. That's all the love you're gonna give right there. But guys like Keelan Cole, guys like Mac Hollins, those are guys that are just really solid, reliable guys to have on your offense. And I'm excited to see what they continue to show within this offense.
So you got anything else, Phil?
I mean, he answered all the questions I needed. As always, he's always let me spit this little bit of fire for you guys on the show, and he always does it. He delivers. And I have to deliver my part of the deal. Them tacos.
Well, while he's good, and I do want tacos myself, that sounds
You don't get
amazing
tacos,
right now.
sir. You don't get tacos. All right.
I go get my own damn tacos. Shit. And the tacos out there on the strip had me out there about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, happy as a clam. But so since Phil didn't have any questions, we get to have some fun because I saved this for the last little bit. I want to talk about the running backs. I have been watching this running game and been saying, oh my Jesus, we are about to run over absolutely everyone.
Phil, bro, I don't even have to answer that question. You literally just you asked the question and you gave the answer at the same time, bro.
It's been so beautiful. It's been so beautiful to watch. It's like, well, who are we gonna go? Well, I was like, dang, are they gonna be able to go ahead, please?
How crazy this sounds, realistically speaking, this might be a team that carries in 5 running backs into the 53.
Not including Johnson, Jacob Johnson,
not including Jakob,
excuse me,
not including Jakob.
5 running backs, not including Jakob.
Potentially. I know that sounds crazy, but
no.
I would.
Crazy.
I've looked at all 5 of them. It's a shame they can't take 6. Because, well, I won't bring that up. That'll be for a different conversation. But yeah, I'm looking at it's like, okay, I'm looking at this. Are they going to cut down to 4? Well, if they cut down to 4, who are they getting rid of? Could they cut down to 3? I'm like, oh man, you cut down to 3, you still giving up 3 starters.
I put it like this: if you cut it down to 4, you got to trade one of them. Don't cut them. Trade them.
Probably 2. And the guy that I initially thought that we'd be talking about the most, Zeus, has been a beast. But this kid Austin Walter has been out of his mind.
I don't know what's going on with Austin, but I like him a lot. He runs with he has some good speed. He can run through the tackles. I like him a lot. I don't know how his career has transpired up to this point. I know he just came from the Jets, but he's really impressed me. All of these running backs have impressed me. Britton Brown, Austin Walter, Zeus, Jacobs, and Jacobs in that first preseason game when we watched him, he just looked pissed off. Jacobs was just like, okay, y'all gonna play me in this game? okay, y'all gonna see the works. Jacobs looked like, and he looked fresh. He looked healthy.
Yes.
He just looked like y'all ain't even in my league in this preseason game. That's how Jacobs looked when he played the Jaguars, especially in person watching it. He was like, nah, bro, y'all not in my league. And Kenyon, he's still nursing back his injury. Of course, he's still nearing 100%, but it's going to be exciting to see what he does. Brandon Bolden has looked very good throughout training camp, even though we haven't seen him take any preseason action. Great veteran force for the locker room. Amir Abdullah has looked really good, and he's been getting a run in special teams and training camp. So, like, I really, like I said, my running back situation right now, everybody has looked phenomenal. They have clearly shown, and they've said it, they've proven it. They want to run the ball. That's what they have in mind. That's what they want to accomplish. They want to run the ball, and they want to make sure that they get it off to a good start. That way, when you respect the run, just imagine being a defense and you have to respect the run against a team that has Devontae Adams and Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow and Derek Carr as your quarterback.
All right, now you brought that up and I gave him a pass and I've let him slide this whole show, but I will. Now you brought up the play action. That's one thing that I haven't seen Derek do very well, to be honest with you. You would think that when you look at Derek's play action versus what you used to see from Peyton Manning, there's some opportunities there that I feel that this running game could definitely extend if he would just wait that extra second and just hold it that little bit longer and sell that fake. Because I'm in the same camp as you. When the defense has got to respect the run, not only respect it, but start to commit to it. With a team that has Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, Keelan Cole, Mac Hollins, T. Billy, maybe DJ Turner. You saw arguably, yeah.
You saw it firsthand with that DJ Turner touchdown. It got to the point where the Raiders were running down Minnesota's throat, and then that second half, they really had to start committing to the run. They had to play defense a little different, and then Mullins found him over the top, ran right by the secondary. You saw it in a preseason game. That's all I'm saying.
Man, it gave me a Maryland flashback.
Yeah, it should have been two, because I saw if he hadn't had to go down to scoop the one chase through him, I felt he probably would have scored on that same. That was the same exact play, wasn't it? You don't have to answer that, but I'm pretty sure we all know it was.
I can't recollect at the moment, but like I said, you've already seen two defenses that have had to commit to the run against the Raiders in a preseason game.
Yep.
So it's, once the season starts, it's going to be very fun to see what this running back unit can do, for sure.
So my man Tony's got you met Tony. He was with me when we were at the draft. So he's got 1,500 yards on the board for the season prediction. I think as a group, that's way too low. They probably looking at 2,000 plus.
Like for the running backs?
Yeah. Collectively.
I think 1,500 is a good starting point. I feel like that's good. I feel like that's a good number to enter the door at. 1,500 collectively.
Collectively, I'm going 2K.
Well, like he said, 1,500 is where we came in at. Chat, you got 2 minutes left before we run this. So if you got something else you want to hear, put it in here and let's see it. I want. This is one of those things though with this year, and I'll say that it feels a lot different than anything that we felt in a while. Even with where I thought we should be under Gruden, it still didn't quite feel like the way it feels right now. And that could be gas in my stomach, that little bubble that that The Rock always used to tell you about, or it could really be something, which I hope that it is. But coming out and their attention to the little things, their attention to details, which is something that you and Q and a lot of other people have been mentioning, and really doing a solid job with all of that. Hats off to you boys. What are your thoughts?
Thoughts on what?
how this whole ambiance feels with the new regime, the direction that you've seen. You've gotten to see it up close, much closer than anybody else, or at least on this panel has.
Well, I'll leave it at this, and I really got to go because unfortunately my computer is about to die. So I hope I get out this last sentiment. People have always, throughout the media, they said that this is the Patriots West, and it's not the Patriots West. This is a couple of guys that used to coach for the Patriots have now come out west, and they're trying to do their own thing with the Las Vegas Raiders and let them create their own identity as a team of the Las Vegas Raiders. A lot of the things in terms of accountability, in terms of game planning, they brought that, but they are not. This is not the Patriots. This is the Las Vegas Raiders, and they're going to coach this team and be the Las Vegas Raiders. This is not the New England Patriots, and that's the ambiance that I've taken. And I hope anyone that is watching this understands that. I don't want to hear anything about New England West or Patriots West. This is the Las Vegas Raiders, and Josh McDaniels is going to run this team as the Las Vegas Raiders head coach. He even said it himself in the press conference. He was like, I cannot be Bill. I'm not Bill. I won't be Bill. I'm Josh McDaniels.
I promise you.
His words. So I'm just that's what I'd like to close on this is the Las Vegas Raiders. They are creating their own identity. They're going to do their own thing, and they're going to have fun doing it.
I promise you.
There it is. The best place to end. This is the Las Vegas Raiders. Not no Patriots West, not no Patriots anything. This is the Las Vegas Raiders with the best coaches, the best players, and the best organization to recommit themselves to excellence. And with that, he's Jones. I'm Robinson. Thank you, Mr. Levi Edwards, for coming on. This is the Unfiltered Truth.